You ever get the feeling you're being watched? Like, really watched? I always brushed it off as paranoia until I moved in with Liam. We found the apartment on Craigslist. It was cheap, a little rundown, but close to campus. Liam was quiet, neat, and kept to himself. Perfect, right? I thought so until things started changing. At first, it was small stuff. My shampoo bottle would be half empty when I'd barely used it. My bedroom door, which I always closed at night, would be slightly open in the morning. I joked with Liam about it, but he just shrugged and said, "Maybe you're sleepwalking." That excuse worked, until I woke up one night to the sound of my closet door creaking open. I lay frozen in bed, heart hammering. I was sure I had closed it. The air in the room felt heavy, like someone was standing there watching me. I reached for my phone and flashed the screen toward the closet. Nothing, just my clothes hanging still. I told myself it was the wind from the window, even though my window was shut. Liam's behavior started changing. He barely spoke to me, but I'd hear him whispering in his room at night. At first, I thought he was on the phone until I passed his door and heard him muttering, "I know he's seen me. He knows." I stopped in my tracks. Who was he talking about? One night, I came home late and found the apartment eerily quiet. Liam's door was open, but the room was empty. I peered inside. His bed was made, his stuff untouched. Like he hadn't been there in days. Then I noticed his closet door, slightly ajar. A horrible thought crept into my mind. I pulled the door open. Nothing, just clothes. But as I stepped back, my foot hit something, a notebook. I picked it up and flipped through the pages. It was filled with scribbles over and over. "He doesn't know I'm here. He doesn't know I'm watching." Some pages had my name, others had times. Times when I was asleep. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my phone and texted Liam. No response. A chill ran down my spine. Slowly, I turned to look at my closet. The door was open. I swore I'd closed it. I took a deep breath and walked over. My fingers trembled as I yanked it open, and there, in the dark, I saw it. A small, makeshift bed. Pillows, water bottles, empty snack wrappers. Someone had been living in my closet. I bolted out of the apartment, called the cops, and never went back. They never found Liam. In fact, when they ran his name through the system, Liam never existed. No records, no ID, nothing. The landlord swore the place had been rented out to just one person, me. So tell me, if Liam wasn't my roommate, who was? What if the person you shared a home with was hiding something so disturbing you wished you never found out? I used to think I knew my roommate. I was dead wrong. It started off fine. My roommate, Jason, was a quiet guy. He kept to himself, didn't party, and always paid his share of rent on time. We weren't close, but that was okay, until I started noticing things. Weird, little things. Like how he never let me into his room, ever. Or how his closet was always locked, with an actual padlock. I figured maybe he just had expensive stuff. But then I saw what was under his bed. One day, Jason was out, and I accidentally knocked my phone under the couch. While reaching for it, I noticed a small shoebox pushed deep under the coffee table. Curious, I pulled it out. Inside were photos. At first, they seemed normal, just random pictures of people. But as I looked closer, my stomach dropped. They were all of me. Some from inside our apartment, some from outside near my work, one from my bedroom, and worst of all, a photo of me sleeping. I felt sick. I shoved everything back and tried to act normal. But after that, I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every shadow, it all felt wrong. I started locking my door at night. Then, one night, at around 2 a.m., I heard my doorknob turn. Not a mistake, not the wind. Someone was trying to open it. I held my breath, heart pounding. The doorknob rattled harder. Then, silence. I sat there, gripping my phone, terrified to move. The next morning, Jason was acting completely normal, like nothing happened. I didn't confront him. I just needed to get out. That day, I called my landlord, pretending I needed info for a rental reference. And that's when she told me. Jason wasn't on the lease. The real Jason had moved out months ago. I had been living with a stranger. I didn't go back to the apartment. I called the cops, but by the time they arrived, the place was empty. Jason, or whoever he really was, had completely vanished. But the worst part? The police found something even more disturbing. Inside that padlocked closet were more photos, more boxes. Not just of me, but of other people. Whoever he was, I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't have been the last.
Have you ever had the feeling that you weren't really alone, even when you were supposed to be? I used to think I was just paranoid, until I found out the truth. When I moved into my new apartment, I was relieved to find a roommate who seemed completely normal. His name was Ethan. Quiet, polite, kept to himself. At first things were fine, but over time, something felt off. Ethan never seemed to leave the apartment, like, ever. I worked late shifts, and when I'd come home at 2 a.m., he'd always be there, just sitting in the living room, watching static on the TV. At first, I laughed it off. Maybe he was just an introvert. But then, the noises started. Have you ever heard sounds at night that you knew weren't just the house settling? I'd wake up to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. But every time I checked, Ethan's door was shut and he was asleep. Or at least, pretending to be. Then one night I came home earlier than usual. As I stepped inside, I heard shuffling from my bedroom. My heart froze. Ethan's door was open, but the light was off. I swallowed hard and took a slow step forward. That's when I noticed it. My bedroom door was slightly ajar, and I saw a hand pull it shut. I stood there frozen, my breath caught in my throat. "Ethan?" I called out, trying to keep my voice calm. No answer. I slowly pushed open the door, flicking on the light. No one was there, but my closet door, it was open. Inside, the hanging clothes were pushed aside, revealing a gap in the wall, a hidden crawl space with a sleeping bag inside. That's when I saw them, empty food wrappers, bottles of water, and my missing hoodie. Someone had been living in my closet, and it wasn't Ethan. I ran straight to Ethan's room, pounding on his door. After a long silence, he finally opened it. He didn't look surprised. "You weren't supposed to see that," he mumbled. My stomach dropped. I didn't stay the night. I grabbed my keys and bolted out of there. The next morning, I called the landlord and the police. But when they arrived, Ethan was gone. And the worst part? Inside the crawl space, they found more than one sleeping bag. Whoever had been living there hadn't been alone. If you think having a creepy roommate is bad, imagine having a terrifying sleepover experience. Click the next video for 3 true scary sleepover stories. You won't believe what happened when the lights went out.